Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all well and safe. Speaking of safe, we're glad you could join us today for the Staying Safe and Protected from COVID-19 Cyber Scam webcast. My name is Karen Pate. I'll be your host for today's presentation, organized by Terranova Security. This session will last around 30 minutes. The question period will take place at the end of the presentation. You're invited to submit your written questions at any time using the question box in the GoToWebinar menu. Today's presenter is Theo Zafirakos. He is CISO and Security Awareness Coach for Terranova Security. Theo has over 20 years of experience and provides subject matter expertise and thought leadership in all areas of information security, such as strategy, programs, governance, information risk management, and compliance. So Theo, over to you.
Welcome to our session on how to stay safe and protected from COVID-19 cyber scams. Cybersecurity risks increase when companies adopt work-from-home practices with very little time to prepare and inform their users of the associated risks. While some of you may have worked from home in the past, for many users this is a new work environment, and especially under the circumstances we're in. Cyber criminals know that many people are adjusting to this new working environment, the home office, to current mandates for many, and making it easy for them to create new ways to trick users using savvy COVID-19 phishing emails, calls, text messages, and other similar attacks. Cyber attackers are leveraging the fear and uncertainty created by this event to trick unwary users. In this session, you will learn why it's important to maintain cybersecurity awareness training and how to mitigate these related cyber risks. All right. We can all agree that in the midst of this global pandemic, we now have the largest ever remote workforce and remote education for many, many students. And with it comes an expanded attack surface that requires extra attention. During the session, we will share with you some key information that addresses the most common risks. We will talk about the most recent and most common attack scenarios leveraging the current health crisis to lure their victims. We'll share with you some of the best practices and how to defend against the increase in phishing attacks. Also, how to avoid information leakage when working remotely. And finally, we'll give you some advice on how to stay cyber secure when working from home. Now, let's see some of the crafty messages that cyber attacks have developed over the last few months. One of the first organizations to be spoofed was the World Health Organization. In fact, several government and health organizations across the globe have reported an increase in attackers posing as these legitimate agencies, trying to trick people into sharing sensitive information such as their username, passwords, personal health information, credit card numbers, often with a promise of a cure, medical supplies, or other hygienic materials. The attackers create fake email messages, such as the example that we see here, and lure users to fake websites that have been replicated to look authentic to achieve their objectives. In fact, over the last several months, or the beginning of the year actually, several thousand coronavirus-related web domains have been registered. And while most of them are legitimate, a significant percentage of them could be considered malicious or even suspicious. It's very easy for someone to replicate an official-looking email or website simply just by copying a text or the images of a legitimate web page or message. What is more difficult to replicate is the official email address and web address. Fake addresses may contain keywords or official names and may look official, but if you inspect the actual email address, you will notice that it's not authentic. Email and web addresses are the first two key indicators we need to train the users on how to better inspect before clicking or submitting any data. Scammers also got creative and produced several different scenarios. Beyond the typical message pretending to be by the government or health organizations, there were some other scenarios that were detected. The Corona Antivirus. This one was detected by Malwarebytes, and this scam began when email campaigns tricked users into visiting a website called Corona Antivirus, World's Best Protection. It actually promised that their antivirus software can protect you from the actual virus by simply using an app. How novel. Another site promised a free Netflix pass during the isolation period. The site also asked visitors to answer some questions about how they were handling the global pandemic and to share the site with 10 of their best friends. Bitdefender reasoned that the site did this for the purpose of luring and tricking even additional victims into sharing their personal information with the attackers. We all have that one friend on social media that shares those bogus promises for free stuff. Also, as the shortage of medical equipment, we have seen a surge on fake email messages or apps promising free safety masks or other medical equipment. All you had to do is to supply your credit card number for shipping. Well, how convenient is that? Scammers also know that individuals and businesses alike are also in desperate need of financial assistance as a result of the ongoing social distancing and business shutdown orders. Attackers are capitalizing on these difficult times to steal even more from those who are already suffering and are in need. In another scam, Red Cross impersonators were selling COVID-19 home test kits. Snopes.com learned that a scam in which fraudsters impersonated Red Cross volunteers in an attempt to victimize concerned individuals. These attackers thought that they were working for the Red Cross, went door to door to people's homes, and they were offering the COVID-19 home test kits. In the case that when someone fell for their trick, these actors may fraudulently charge credit cards for the test that will never get administered. Or simply they could break in and simply rob their victims from just gaining entry from their homes. The Red Cross confirmed that they're not going to people's homes or to offer test kits. If someone comes to your house claiming to be that they work for Red Cross or other health organization, be cautious and do not allow them in your home. So beware of these and other similar scams taking advantage of the current situation. Health or government agencies would not request health details via an email or a text message. If you have any questions or concerns about a message that you received, contact your local health organization using only official and published contact information. Beware of messages, attachments, applications, anything that is promising you a free test kit or a vaccine. Only trust messages that arrive from the official channels. Also, do not trust social media posts or ads promising cures, tests, vaccines, the giving away of free masks, gloves, and other medical equipment, hand sanitizers, and so on. If you see some of the similar messages in your social media feed, verify the source. And if you determine that it's fake or suspicious, and if one of your contacts is spreading misinformation, please advise them to remove the message or post a comment to warn others for the sake of the online community. So how do we defend against these attacks? When there's so many different factors distracting us now that we're working from home. When you're working from home, you don't always have instant access to our colleague or someone from the security or the IT department, the help desk, to ask questions or validate a message you may have received. And during your busy work schedule, you may also be distracted with screaming toddlers at home or hungry pets, all seeking your time and attention. This is a new normal for many, and we need to become accustomed to it and stay alert at all times. So what information do we need to communicate to our users, our family members, our children on how to protect ourselves? If you're uncertain about the validity of an email or any other message, do not respond. If you receive a strange email from a colleague or boss, talk to the person, ask them about the email. Reach out to them by phone, instant message, or any other means than the original means that you received the message. If you do not recognize the email sender or the subject looks strange, do not even open the email at all. Delete it and send it to your junk folder. Pay attention to the spelling of email addresses, subject lines, and URLs. Don't just look at the description of the name or the link itself. Verify the actual email address and web address that is hiding behind it. Beware also of messages pretending to be from maybe your company suppliers or other business or partners you deal with, asking you to open an urgent attachment with additional information, or maybe inform you of a change of payment in process. Be extra cautious with requests also that appear to come from a HR department asking you to fill out a form with maybe personal or other health information. Official and secure websites, when you're visiting the internet, may appear green, indicating that these site is legitimate. And also, depending on your browser, may contain HTTPS or the log icon in the address bar. This indicates that this website is secure. In recent weeks, also, with the frequency of the COVID-19 phishing and social media scams have increased. Be wary of emails that use urgent language or scare tactics, or provide an urgency for you to take some action. You need to remind your users not to click on links or open attachments for unsolicited email and messages. And never send a personal, confidential, or any other sensitive information via email or any unauthorized website, or even some of the file sharing services. Remind your employees that security awareness and best practices apply everywhere, every time, even at the office and at home, and whenever they're connected on the internet. So how do you deal with the phishing threat when you're working from home? When you work from home, there's several additional security precautions users must take, like the use of the company official secure VPN connection provided by your organizations to your users so they can connect to the company network securely. If users have questions about configuring the company VPN, make sure they have information or instructions how to contact the IT department or how to do it themselves. Also, users should not be connecting to the company to a network using an unsecured Wi-Fi network. Unsecured Wi-Fi network is a network that allows you to connect without having to provide a password. That means secure your own Wi-Fi network at home with a strong, long password, encryption, and do not use your neighbor's open Wi-Fi if you're running out of data. Use only company-approved call and video conferencing applications for your meetings. And beware of unexpected requests to join a conference call. If you're connecting to someone else's call, verify if it is being recorded. Do not share work data and information to your home computer or your personal devices. It's important that users only work on computers and devices that have the latest security updates installed, operating systems, browsers, and have been approved by your organizations. And only use approved cloud applications for sharing and storing data. Also, even your computers at home or at work, if you have to work remotely before you leave the office, and it may be too late now, but make sure that you have the latest applications, operating systems, network tools, and internal software installed. Talk to your IT support team to install the latest malware protection, anti-spam software, and the latest software updates on your computer when you're working from home. Also, when you're working from home, make sure you have a strong password for your laptop, device, and email accounts, especially if you're using web email. So what organizations can do to protect remote workers? You may have already deployed your workforce to work remotely, and even yourself is listening to the session from home. Now that everyone has settled in and has adjusted to this new work environment, it's time to make sure that certain protocols are in place. And if you have not done so already, make sure that your users know and understand what the remote working policies are for your organization. Ensure that your users can change their passwords remotely or have them changed before they expire. Without network access, sometimes, or the corporate directory, sometimes it is difficult for users to change the passwords when they expire because they may not be able to connect through VPN. If your users must connect from untrusted machines because they do not have their own laptops or computers at home, configure virtual machines with only the applications they need and restricting network access. And always configure two-factor authentication for VPN access or when you're granting access to administrative consoles that are available over the internet. And also don't stop educating your users, leveraging a continuous security awareness program. So how do you stay safe? In the last segment of our session, we will look at what each and every one of us can do to stay safe when working remotely. What we have seen so far and the following advice can and should be used at all times, not just in the current time of crisis. So how do you keep your mobile device and your home computer safe? Well, first, let's look at your home computer. Okay, keep all of your software up to date. Ensure the latest operating systems, browsers, and apps are installed on your computers, devices, and anything that connects to the internet. If you can, install a home firewall and use a secure Wi-Fi connection. These measures protect company assets, but also yourself from cyber attacks. Many operating systems and advanced antivirus software also include firewall features. Make sure they're enabled. Have an antivirus software, and sometimes it's worth investing in an annual license for advanced protection features such as ransomware protection and secure digital file shredders. File encryptions may be another option, and others. Also, make sure that your antivirus is enabled to scan websites, downloaded files, email attachments, and periodically scan also the content that is stored on your external drives, memory cards, and USB keys. Also, when you're at home, create strong passwords for all your devices. Strong passwords are as important on your home computer as they are on your work computer. Stop using names, favorite colors, or you're reusing the same passwords on both on your company and home computers. Also, it's a good practice to not share your work computer with family members. And at least if you have to, supervise them while they do it. If you have only one home computer at home and all the family members have to share it, create a separate account for each individual. And if you need a secure way of managing all the different passwords, install a password management tool. It's very easy to forget cybersecurity best practices when away from the office, and the best strategy is to remain vigilant and skeptical at all times. whether you're receiving these social engineering and phishing emails, text messages, attachments, whether it's your home account or your work account, you always have to remain vigilant. When in doubt, do not click. Now let's look at some tips on how to protect your mobile devices. Where possible, try and disable your Bluetooth auto discovery. Cyber criminals are always on the lookout for signals such as Bluetooth that they can hack and connect to. Turn off your Wi-Fi auto connect. Never connect to an open or public Wi-Fi network automatically. In fact, best practice and recommendation is to never connect to a public Wi-Fi that is not password protected. Use either fingerprint security, visual authentication. Always enable the highest level of security and authentication possible on your mobile devices. And always protect your mobile devices with them, a password or a PIN, and also a PIN that is unique to them. Do not use PINs or passwords that you're using elsewhere. Also, avoid using keyboard patterns that are easy to observe and remember. Maintain the latest versions of operating systems on all your mobile devices, and you install the updates as they become available, because these are typically released to fix known issues, security weaknesses, and make sure that your device is protected from cyber attacks. Phishing attacks also may arrive via text messages, where the caller ID is spoofed and may look like someone who is really not. Do not respond to these text messages from numbers you don't recognize. Do not respond to unsolicited text messages from companies or organizations. Be also very aware of data leakage risks and information theft. When installing apps, do not authorize unlimited permissions and access to your device. Only give apps the minimum access required for the services that they're offering. Remember also to physically secure your devices. Never leave them unattended, or never leave your work session without logging off or locking it before you step away from your computer. And also, do not let strangers use your mobile devices, and avoid also charging your devices on public charging stations. The new way of working also has given rise to the need to protect how we do web conferences and video calls. Scams related to video chat and conference calls are on the rise, and also many of these tools, as we may have heard in the news recently, may not be as secure and may disclose any information or documents shared with them. As the use of these tools surges, we will discover more privacy and security issues. Unless you have recurring calls with the same audience and the same topic, make sure you alternate your session IDs from session to session. Ensure your sessions are password protected using a different password, and also make sure that you share the password in a secure manner. Use a lobby to welcome your guests and manually admit them into the meeting. And also, depending on the sensitivity of the topic, make sure you do a roll call and you know who's on the call, if you can recognize them by the voice. If you're on a call and you're sharing your screen, share only application windows instead of complete screens to avoid accidental disclosure of sensitive information. It's also advised to close all unnecessary applications during a call. Disable notifications from email, as if they pop up during a call, they will disclose the sender and the subject of the incoming messages. And for privacy also, depending on how your home environment is set up, blur the background using the built-in features available on the web conference app. Information leakage is something else also that could occur when working from home. When we're working remotely, we need to be extra caution with these risks and accidental or unauthorized disclosure of the information. With remote working organizations lose many of the physical security barriers that they have in place to protect access to data and networks. The most common causes of data leaks are the loss or theft of devices, the accidental transfer of data to unauthorized individuals, maybe the improper disposal of physical documents, the sharing of sensitive information, the unintentional sharing with malicious actors, and unpatched, unsecure devices that have vulnerabilities that allow cybercriminals to install malware that steal information from your devices. So, how do you avoid information leakage? Everyone must follow the organizational policies on the storage and proper disposal of information. Do not store or print paper documents with sensitive information at home. If you have to print a document, please shred the document immediately after using it and do not throw them in your recycling bin. Protect also your devices from theft or loss by either keeping them with you or in a secure environment, locked office, locked cabinet, or even if you have a safe at home. When sending information to someone, ensure that they're authorized to access it. This verification often becomes more difficult when we don't have access to all the resources we typically have at the office. Be aware also of the phishing attacks requesting sensitive information or transfer of funds. Hold off until you can validate with someone before proceeding with a request if it looks suspicious. And when you're connecting your corporate systems to the VPN, make sure that you do it with high enough frequency and are doing it on a regular basis in order to ensure that you have the latest updates and patches installed, as many attacks leverage the advantage of unpatched systems. So if you're not connected to your corporate network, you may not be receiving your latest updates. So, in conclusion, make sure you educate your users, your family on how to safely work from home and the associated risks. Inform your users on the new phishing scams related to COVID-19. There are actual criminals out there trying to take advantage of the situation. Although some cyber criminals have promised not to target the healthcare sector, the rest of us are fair game. Establish and communicate remote working policies and procedures to your employees and maintain constant communications as threats evolve and new ones arise. Deploy simulations leveraging current scenarios to give your users the opportunity to practice the phishing detection skills. Stay informed and relay key information to your users and management. That concludes our session for today. You can get our free kit on how to protect yourself and your organization from COVID-19 cyber scams by visiting us at terranova-security.com/COVID-19-kit. The kit includes an informative blog, infographics featuring tips and advice on that you could share, and statistics on the increase of the phishing scams. Thank you. Now move on to some questions.
Yes, thank you, Theo. So as he said, we're gonna take a few questions from the audience. It's already noon, so we don't want to take too much of your time. So maybe just answer a few questions quickly. And the ones that we didn't have time to answer, we'll take a look at the report and then send you an answer back by email. So you can use the question box in the GoToWebinar menu to send us your questions. And so for everyone's benefit, I've already had a few questions about that. The recording will be available either in the kit or on our website, and we will all send you the details to watch the on-demand webcast and be able to send it to your friends, colleagues, and family. All right, so on with the first question. Should we pause our awareness campaigns and phishing simulations during the quarantine to alleviate users from the extra stress?
Great question, and that's a question we hear very often. The same way cyber criminals are not stopping and actually are augmenting their attacks, looking for new ways to lure and hook users, we recommend that you should not stop your awareness activities. You may need to adjust them to reflect the current threat environment and work environment, and teach users the best practices on information protection, social engineering attacks, and how to stay safe, cyber safe when working remotely. So these communications are important at this time as well. And also you could use the phishing simulations to show your users the new scenarios that they may face and these attackers have adapted and are using. So by showing them the two different scenarios, you're taking a proactive approach in educating your users at what they may face down the road.
Great, thank you. So someone was asking if the presentation will be available in French too, and as a matter of fact, it is. We will be holding another webcast next Tuesday at 8 a.m. in French. So both the webcasts will be available on demand in English and in French. We'll take a last question. What security software should I have on my personal computer to protect my device and information?
The first thing is to make sure that you have an operating system that is supported and you could receive the latest security patches and updates, and ensure you apply those patches regularly and reboot your computer so they take effect. After that, make sure that you have invested in an antivirus software. And like we mentioned earlier, some paid subscriptions offer additional tools, such as a secure digital file shredder. So when you're deleting sensitive documents that are completely removed from the computer. A lot of the systems also may have a personal firewall installed on them. Make sure that is enabled. If you're using the internet for personal purposes, you could use a personal VPN software to maintain some additional encryption and anonymity. And also you could use a password manager to maintain and store your different passwords. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Theo. So that's all the time we have. We don't want to keep you too long. So thanks everyone for attending this session and for taking the time also to fill in the satisfaction survey right at the end of the webcast. So that's it. Hope you be all cyber safe, and see you next time. Thank you.